Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Douglas County Board of County Commissioners Land Use Meeting and Public Hearing. Today is Tuesday, October 19th, 2021. It is 2:31 in the afternoon. Would you all stand and join us with the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Mr. Ingles, do we have certification for today's agenda?
We do, Madam Chair. You have two items on today's agenda, items 3A and 3B. Item 3A did not require any specialized notice, what was noticed under the open meetings laws. Item 3B required 4 consecutive weeks of published notice. That began on September 23rd and concluded on October 14th. With that, you have proper notice and jurisdiction on both items.
Thank you, Mr. Ingles. Do any commissioners have disclosures for items on today's agenda?
I have none.
No, ma'am.
And I have none either. There are no land use meeting agenda items today. Moving on to public hearing agenda items. Item A, Valley High Second Amendment. Heather Scott for staff.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Heather Scott, representing Planning Services. The project before you today is Valley High Second Amendment, project number SB 2021-011. The property is owned by J. Scott Bryce and Gregory R. Bryce. The applicant is requesting approval to formally change the designation of Outlot A from a park to a residential lot. The lot shall be designated as Lot 25, Valley High Second Amendment. The intent of the replat is to provide a review process for the replatting of existing subdivision plats. The replat process begins with the submittal of an application. Following a review period by referral agencies and the public, there is a public meeting before the Board of County Commissioners. In this case, there were no significant referral comments. The Valley High HOA indicated its support for this request. One neighbor reached out to staff to ask some clarifying questions. The property is zoned estate residential and is located in the northeast portion of Douglas County, south of the Arapahoe County line, east of Parker Road, and north of Valley High Drive. The aerial shows the site outlined in blue that is subject to this replat. The property has direct access to Valley High Drive, a county road. The final plat for Valley High was approved in 1971 with 24 residential lots, 3 tracts on 53.685 acres. The 3 tracts or outlots were dedicated to the Douglas County Board of County Commissioners. Outlot A was designated for a park but never developed as such. The developer purchased Outlot A back from the Board of County Commissioners in 1976 via 2 deeds which split the property, in effect providing for cash in lieu of parkland dedication. The developer sold the larger portion of Outlot A to the current owner who applied for and received a domestic well permit in 1977. In 1985, the division of Outlot A was officially recognized in a 1985 replat when the smaller portion of Outlot A was removed from the Valley High plat and is in ownership with the adjacent meets and bounds parcel. The remainder of Outlot A was inadvertently left out of this replat, thus the park dedication remained. This is an exhibit showing the layout of the replatted property. The replat will change the designation from a tract for a park to a single-family residential lot. Rights-of-way and utility easements will not change. The Colorado Division of Water Resource has verified that the existing domestic well may be used to serve a future home on this property. Sewer service is provided by an individual septic system. All the lots within the Valley High subdivision are served in this manner. This is a view looking northwest from Valley High Drive at the southwest corner of the site. This is a view looking northwest from the east corner of the site. Here are the approval standards for a replat that are discussed in detail in the staff report. All reports, studies, and plans have been accepted. Staff has assessed the application in accordance with Article 7 of the subdivision resolution. Should the board find that the approval standards for the replat are met, staff proposes the following conditions for the board's consideration. Condition number 1, prior to recordation of the replat, technical corrections to the replat exhibit shall be made to the satisfaction of Douglas County. Number 2, all commitments and promises made by the applicant or the applicant's representatives during the public meeting and/or agreed to in writing and included in the public record have been relied upon by the Board of County Commissioners in approving the application. Therefore, such approval is conditioned upon the applicant's full satisfaction of all such commitments and promises. Section 706.06 of the subdivision resolution sets forth the parameters for the board's determination on replat requests as noted on this slide. This concludes staff's presentation. I am available to take questions on the staff report at this time if the board wishes. Otherwise, Greg Bryce is available via WebEx to give a project overview. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Questions for staff?
I have no questions.
Thank you, ma'am. So, I mean, it really sounds like going through the packet and based on your presentation, we're kind of fixing something that was missed back in 1985, where we just didn't complete the replat, but all the other work was done at that time.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Layden, you had no questions?
I have none.
Thank you. Mr. Bryce?
Yes, I don't have much to add other than in March 1 of 1976, when IP Gregg, who bought the lot, Outlot A, the commissioners at the time said, we've got to get this completed so that sometime in the future we don't have a question about the residential thing. So here we are, 40-some years later, dealing with what was supposed to be done back in 1976, actually. So anyway, I appreciate all the work you guys have done, and that I don't really have anything to add because it was a good summary.
Any questions for Mr. Bryce?
No, ma'am.
I have none.
So, Mr. Bryce, has this property been in your family for all these years?
Well, yeah, my dad bought it on, about March of 1976, or maybe 1977. My dad bought it, my sister inherited it, and my brother and I got ownership of it. So yes, since it was sold by IP Gregg back in, 1977, it's been in our family.
So that's just why it's just been there, and now you get to clean it all up?
Right, my dad passed away in 2018, and we were going to sell it as a lot, and we had the offer, and then all of a sudden we realized it should have happened back in 76, never took place, and here I am 2.5 years later trying to fix it.
There you go. Well, we're sorry for the loss of your father.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to open this up for citizen comment. Are there any citizens who would like to comment on this item? If so, please come forward. And if you could give us your name, spell your last name and your address, please.
Yes, Commissioner. My name is Chris Vander Stoker, VanderStoker. I'm the current president of the Valley High Home Association. And we, of course, wanted to be present. And if that's enough information, I'll give you we only have one comment. I guess the one thing to know is that Valley High hasn't really changed since IP Gregg sold the land to Mr. Price, and there are still 23 lovely homes there, all single residences. And our goal was simply to be involved and understand if it was going to be replatted. We do have a properly recorded and approved DORA-approved HOA covenants that are, of course, recorded with Douglas County. And there is some language in there requiring that anything within Valley High HOA stay as a single residence. And outside of that, that's our only comment. So it sounds like everything fits with what Mr. Bryce wants to do as well, so.
Thank you for being here. Did I miss your address?
Oh, yes, you did, because I didn't give it. Sorry, Commissioner. 5663 East Valley High Drive, Parker, 80138, so.
Well, thank you for your interest in coming here today to support this project.
Yep, thanks, Commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Bryce. Thanks, Heather.
Troy, is there anyone online?
I have no online comment.
Okay, I will close citizen comment and bring it back to the board for discussion or a motion.
Madam Chair, if it pleases the board, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Valley High Second Amendment replat with, and I had two conditions, as presented, project file SB 2021-011.
Second.
So there's a first and a second. Mr. Bryce, I forgot to ask you, there are two conditions to this project. Do you agree to those two conditions?
I agreed with everything that was said through the meeting, so I assume that they were, unless somebody wants to read me the two conditions and I can approve them specifically, I agreed with everything that was said.
Heather, just to be clear, would you mind reading those two, please?
Condition number 1, prior to recordation of the replat, technical corrections to the plat exhibit shall be made to the satisfaction of Douglas County. And number 2, all commitments and promises made by the applicant or the applicant's representative during the public meeting and/or agreed to in writing and included in the public record have been relied upon by the Board of County Commissioners in approving this application. Therefore, such approval is conditioned upon the applicant's full satisfaction of all commitments and promises.
Mr. Bryce, those are the two conditions. Do you agree to them?
Yes and yes.
Thank you, Mr.
Definitely.
Bryce. We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Heather. How many of these have you presented to us now?
So I've been here a little over a year, and this is my third time before you.
You did a nice job. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to item B, a resolution adopting the 2020 National Electrical Code. Corby Lentz for staff.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Corby Lentz, building official, speaking for staff. I'm here to present or to request that the board consider adoption of the 2020 National Electrical Code. It was adopted last year by the state of Colorado, the State Electrical Board. We're actually statutorily required as a county that locally enforces the electrical code to follow and adopt the same code. Many other local jurisdictions or nearby jurisdictions have already adopted the 2020 electrical code. I believe Lone Tree, Parker, and Castle Rock are planning to, in the next month or two, all being effective by January 1st of next year. We're proposing to make ours effective November 1st. We don't think there'll be much impact from that, as it's already been adopted by so many nearby jurisdictions. Most contractors and developers and builders are familiar with it. We aren't proposing any fee increases. There was formerly the local fees were tied to the state's fee schedule, but they no longer are because some smaller jurisdictions were having trouble meeting their costs for enforcing electrical codes. We believe we can continue to offer the same service that we have with our current fee schedule, which I did a survey, and we're actually equal to or less than most of the other neighboring jurisdictions. I didn't find any that were less than what we are. So I have Greg Lomars with me, who is our electrical manager, who is available to help answer any questions you might have. We have 3 minor amendments that are basically clarifications. They're no change from what was previously adopted when we adopted the 2017 National Electrical Code 3 years ago. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Corby. Questions for staff?
No questions, just wonderful presentation, Corby, and thank you for your years of service in your department and then working well with Greg to bring this before us. Thanks.
Thank you.
No questions. Good job getting through this one. I know going through the code is a necessary evil of the job, so well done.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank you, Corby, especially when you came and talked to us about this. You made it clear that you could raise fees, but you'd gone through and figured out you didn't need to, so we appreciate that on behalf of our taxpayers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any citizens who would like to address the board on this topic? I have no one in the hearing room. Troy, is there anyone online?
Thank you, Commissioner. Also, no online comment.
Thank you. I will close citizen comment, bring it back to the board for further discussion or a motion.
I will make a motion and then speak in favor of the motion. That motion is to approve a resolution adopting the 2020 National Electric Code with amendments as part of the Douglas County Building Code.
Second.
First and second, Commissioner Layden.
Well, this is special to me. I realize we don't have a whole lot of engagement or citizen comment on this, but my dad was a journeyman electrician, my late father, for over 40 years, and I always remember the large, thick electric code book somewhere laying around our house. Sometimes it had a cup of coffee on it or our homework, but it was always around and very important to him. So it's an honor to pass this today.
Thank you, Commissioner Layden. We have a first and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. And that motion carries. Thank you, Corby. Thank you for being here, Greg.
Thank you.
That concludes today's land use and public hearing. The next land use and public hearing will be held on Tuesday, November 9th, 2021 at 2:30 in the afternoon. Thank you.